welcome back to my channel, Planty Princess 92. My name is Ashley, and today I'm going to be talking about the Scindapsus Silver Lady. This is one that I have wanted in my collection for some time now, and when it first kind of came on the market, it was a little bit harder to find, at least in my area, and it was a little more on the expensive side. I believe it still is, but it's a little more accessible now. But anyways, a few months ago, I was able to obtain it and add it to my collection, so I was super excited. This is a requested video. Somebody asked me to talk about the comparison between this plant along with the others, because in the last video I made, which I will link at the top for you guys, I didn't have this plant to be able to compare it. So I will do a quick comparison on this plant along with the others, as well as talk about some of the care tips for this plant. So as you see here, I am growing mine in leca. This plant has grown steadily for me this year since I've gotten it, or last year I should say. But it's kind of more of a slow grower. As you can see here in each leaf, the variegation or patterns to the leaves is very stable. It's consistent through each leaf. So this plant is more of a slow grower, but let's talk about some of the care needs. Now in leca, I obviously don't really have any watering needs because I just make sure my reservoir is consistently full at an appropriate level, which it would be 1/3 of the size of your pot. But in soil, and I will post a picture here, before I watered my Scindapsus Varieties this morning, you can see here how the leaves are really curled up. And every Scindapsus pretty much does that. It's a very verbal plant, and it does not tolerate being overwatered well. A lot of plants, or some plants, can bounce back from being overwatering, and some even bounce back really nicely from being overwatered. This one does not. It does get yellow leaves very quickly, and it just doesn't do well if overwatered. I would let this plant dry out completely. I do have 3 of mine, the Argyrius, the Silver Lady, and the Exotica, growing in soil. I let them all dry out completely, and even after they're dry, I wait for their leaves to curl before I give them a drink. These do like a little bit of a higher humidity. They will do fine in regular household humidity, 40–50%. That's perfectly fine, but I do find mine do grow a little faster in the higher humidity. And they do like bright indirect light, very indirect, because the leaves will scorch very easily. They will burn very easily. They will crisp and brown. So you definitely just want to make sure there's not strong light directly hitting the leaves. I have this one growing in a grow tent, so it is under artificial light. There is an east-facing window kind of to the side of it, so it does get some natural sunlight, but it's very minimum. It's very diffused, and it's that bright morning sun, so it's not as harsh as the evening sun is in a west-facing window. But like I said, as long as it's indirect, it will do just fine. Now, soil requirements for this one, they really do like that chunky, airy mix. It definitely needs a lot of aeration in the soil because it doesn't like to be overwatered, but with a little bit of something that will retain some of that moisture. That way it doesn't go dry too quick. So now that we discussed the care needs for this plant, let's do a quick comparison. So, propagation really quickly. So I propagated this plant a couple times. I got 2 long vines, and I took one of the vines and chopped it up. I have a couple cuttings in 2 different cups. So I brought one here to show you. Now, I haven't had any luck propagating any Scindapsus in water, but I'm actually trying again to propagate my Exotica in water right now, so we'll see. So far so good. But every time I've tried to propagate like the Argyrius or the Silver Lady, maybe it's because they're thinner stems, I don't know, but they just rot away. I do, however, have luck propagating in leca, so that's why I decided to propagate this one in leca. It's propagating very nicely. It finally does have a nice little root system developing, but this one does take a very long time, like forever. It really does take forever. So it did root nicely for me, but it did take a long time. So now, as you see here, these leaves are very speckled. They're very splotchy, but they do kind of come in big chunks. But so like oppositely, this one is more of like big chunks of silver, but then has those splotches of green in it. They kind of remind me of like cheetah print on a leaf. It also has a thin band of silver going around the edges. So this one is actually, I think, one of the most distinct, one of the most easiest ones to tell apart from the rest. I'll just give you a glimpse of the leaves on this one really quick. But the other one's that's where it kind of gets a little tough to tell. The only one I would think you would have trouble with distinguishing with this would be the Argyrius, but as I said, it's opposite. So the Argyrius has mostly green with little speckles of silver in it and a very, very thin line of silver going around the edges, if any. Now, the Exotica has big patches of silver. It has one of the most largest leaves. It does have the largest leaves out of all these Scindapsus that I'm talking about today. And it has a thick band of silver going around it. It's mostly silver and has some green kind of running through it. Now we have the Scindapsus Silver Splash. This one gets very confused with the Exotica, I think, and I think their names are used interchangeably. Like, I do believe they call the Exotica Silver Splash and Silver Pothos and all that kinds of stuff. But the Silver Splash is actually a Scindapsus of its own. It's very pixelated. The leaves look very pixelated. They are a little bit larger than the Silver Lady, the Argyrius, and the Silvery Anne, but not as large as the Exotica. So that one, it's hard to tell. I wanted that one in my collection for the longest time as well. It was really hard for me to tell because I was ordering it online, and through a picture, unless it's a very good picture and you can visually tell and differentiate that it is a Silver Splash, it's hard because in a lot of pictures of the Exotica, they do look so similar in pictures, so it's really hard to tell. But seeing them side by side, you can definitely tell there's a difference. Like I said, it's a very pixelated leaf. Then we have, last but not least, we have the Silvery Anne. This one has kind of big patches of silver, sometimes even more. The leaf is green. It's stable variegation, but it's not consistent. Each leaf looks a little bit different than the next, and the variegation kind of just does what it pleases. It's a very beautiful plant. The leaves are smaller than, I would say some of them do get, the size of this or the Argyrius, but most of the time they are, at least for mine, they tend to be a little smaller than these leaves. But again, it is a very beautiful plant. This one, again, has a little edging of silver, but the easiest way, I think this one is the easiest one to tell apart from the rest because it's so different. It just kind of has the variegation wherever it wants to go. So that one is definitely the easiest to tell apart. So that is the difference between all these Scindapsus. I'm very happy to have added the Silver Lady to my collection and kind of do an update video on the comparison between the Scindapsus silver plants, because I know I definitely had a very hard time differentiating them when I first started out. Even now, especially online, it is very hard to tell the difference between some of these plants. I hope this helped you guys kind of tell the difference. I hope you enjoyed seeing the Silver Lady because, again, it just is a very gorgeous plant. It's very nice, and it definitely does bring a lot of pop to your collection. So thank you guys again for joining me in another video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're interested in the content I provide. And as always, every plant's a princess. Bye!